Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop today. We're going to do something a little bit different today. Many moons ago, before I even started making YouTube videos, I took 3 pieces of this motorcycle chain that my son had laying around his garage. He found it along the road one day when him and some of his buddies were out for a ride. And I took 3 pieces, 5 links each, and I forged these 2 billets out of it. And man, let me tell you something, that was tough. That was a hard go. Motorcycle chain is very hard to forge together because it's got so many gaps and holes in it. Now I don't even know if these, what I had done is I forged this out into one long billet like so after I got the 3, and I'm telling you, it took me probably 3 hours. Probably took me 3 hours with the 3-pound hammer to forge those 3 pieces of motorcycle chain together by hand. And I come up with these 2, it was one billet. I cut it in half because I was going to put them together like this and forge weld them together and make a knife out of this. But there's not enough material there to make any kind of sizable knife. I could probably make some little small, you know, cheesy little knife out of it, but I'm going to try, today we're going to take these, we're going to clean them up a little bit with a grinder, and we are going to forge weld them together, but we're not going to make a knife, and we're going to make a belt buckle. I was watching an Alex Steele video the other night where he made a couple of belt buckles out of some Damascus that he had made, and they were very cool. You should go check it out. He made one, and I don't know how he makes these patterns. He's got presses and all that stuff, though. It makes it easier for him, but he made one billet that looked like the British flag and another billet that looked like the American flag, and then he could cut slices off of them. And anyway, he made these belt buckles. He made an American flag belt buckle, and he made a British flag belt buckle, and they were very cool. And so I was thinking maybe I'll try making a belt buckle, you know, but how am I going to do it? And I thought, you know, maybe I'd just make one out of some 5160 and then etch it or something. And then I remembered I have these 2 billets of motorcycle chain. Now, I've never dipped these in acid or anything, and if you take a look at these, you can see they're still pretty rough. There's some I think I may have some cold shuts and some bad spots in these. I'm not sure, but I was so worn out by the time I got this billet drawn out and that chain forge welded and the billet drawn out and everything that I cut it in half, and I was going to go ahead and forge weld these 2 pieces together, and I was just so beat down. I mean, I pounded and pounded on that chain to get it into this shape. So anyway, we're going to take and put these, I'm going to grind these and clean them up. We're going to tack them together, and we're going to try to forge weld these 2 billets together today in order to make a belt buckle. You know, we'll try to get them, you know, kind of like a cowboy style belt buckle. And and see what we can do. I think it'll look pretty cool once it's etched and everything. But I'm just kind of worried about whether or not, you know, when we get it forged out, we're going to have cracks in it, inclusions, cold shuts. When, you know, am I even going to be able to do it? Now, if it's got some little cracks or some little cold shuts in it or whatever, it's not really going to hurt us on a belt buckle because there's no pressure, you know what I mean? There's no, a belt buckle's not going to have to undergo the type of abuse or pressures that, you know, a knife or a chopper would. So we're going to try to do that and see if we can't make us a motorcycle chain Damascus belt buckle today. Should be fun. Let's get to work. Okay, we've got it all fluxed up now. It's in the forge. We're going to get it up to welding temperature and see if we can stick those two bad boys together. I don't know, man. It looks like there's a lot of cold shuts and stuff in it, but we'll see what happens. Alright guys, so the best I can tell from working on this so far is, and I'm no expert on motorcycle chain, but I believe it's made up of a combination of mild steel and high carbon steel because it's a motorcycle chain, so you have to have, it has to be tough, right? So I think parts of it are high carbon steel, but also parts of it are sort of a mild steel or a lower carbon, because under the hammer, you know, I've seen guys make these before, and the only ones I've seen really have any kind of success at all
are guys that have like a big, multi-ton press, and they can get it hot and just press it and instantly squash it all together. But even at that, if you were to make a knife out of this, you would have to do it in a sanmai fashion, I believe. You would have to take and make your billet of motorcycle chain, and then take a nice piece of 1080 or 1095 or something and sandwich it in between two pieces of this, so that you would have a good hardenable edge on the thing. Because if you tried to make a knife out of just this, I believe what would happen is you would end up with an edge that has some real hard, that would harden real nice, and then the next spot would be soft, and then the next spot would be hard again. So thankfully we're not making a knife out of this, or trying to make a knife out of it. It would probably make a cool knife, but it would have to be a sanmai, I believe. So after grinding this and grinding these edges off and these welds, the edges actually look fairly decent, like it welded together pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and zip this in half. I'm going to do it with the angle grinder, because you can see how much steel we've lost already. This has come down in size almost to the size of one of the billets that we started with. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the angle grinder, zip this in half, and tack weld it back on itself, so that we have more of a square billet. Forge weld that together again, and then we're going to go ahead and shape our buckle out of that. So we'll be back when we're ready to do some more forge welding, and got it ready to go. Well, it's kind of a weird shape, but we'll fix that here later. Alright guys, so I take this and I hit it with the angle grinder with just a grinding wheel. And then I took a 36-inch, 36 grit flat disc and hit it. And then we hit it with Scotch-Brite pad with the 1/4-inch pneumatic die grinder. And then I threw it in the edge for just a second to see what we came up with. And that's what we've got. That's what smashed up, flattened out, forged, welded motorcycle chain belt buckle looks like. So this is just a rough, just a rough deal. I just wanted to stick it in the edge. I just wanted to stick it in the edge for just a minute and see what it was going to look like, but kind of interesting. You can see there's 4 big round spots there where our chain links, where our rivets and that probably were in the chain link. I honestly had no idea how this was going to come out, and we spread this out, quite large, so I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but I think that came out fairly cool. Now we'll take and now that we know that we've got these 4, we've got these 4 big round spots there where the chain links kind of riveted together. We'll now we know how we can shape it. We'll take and cut some of these corners off a little bit and shape our buckle up, and we'll go from there. So I've got some small stock that I'll make. You have to put the little loop on the back here. We'll just weld that on there with the MIG welder, and then make the little hook up here, for it to hook into your belt loop hole. And we're going to sand this a lot smoother and cleaner. I just wanted to clean it up enough to throw it in the edge and see what it looked like, but I think it came out pretty cool. Its thickness is fairly even. We still need to put a little bit of a curve in it this way also, but I think we can do that cold. I don't think we need to heat that up any. We'll probably just take like a board and grind us a little swale in it. We'll just lay this down and hammer it in there to where it kind of rounds it. But I think it's pretty cool. I think we have a pretty cool looking little piece of motorcycle chain Damascus there. So I think that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate y'all joining me out here in the shop today. Always a good time to have you around. Never know what kind of project we're going to jump into. I've got everything to make my knife, but I'm just kind of knifed out right now. I mean, I just banged out 4 knives in a row in the last 6 weeks or so, and this knife here is going to be quite involved. It's going to have talking about motorcycles, it's going to be kind of a bike themed knife, so it's going to be kind of a tough build for me. There's going to be a lot of components to it. It's going to be a pain in the ass. So I just kind of wanted to take a little break from all that. I just banged out, like I say, those 4 knives. We made the first big chopper for Bob, but it was too big and I didn't like the handle. It looked like a kitchen knife, like a butcher knife, the handle did. So we made him the second one. In the middle of making that second one, I welded the Damascus billet together while we were annealing the second knife. If you'll remember, I welded that Damascus billet together, 12 layers with 6 full twists, to make the Damascus knife that we made for Scott. So we finished up the knife for Bob. Then we went ahead and drew out our billet and forged that knife for Scott, and that was quite involved. You saw, 20-piece handle, well, 12 pieces and 8 pins. It was quite an undertaking. And then I made the knife for my neighbor, and with the etching design on the flats and everything, and it wasn't that hard, but I mean 4 in a row, just one right after the other with the meager tools that I have in my shop. I'm just kind of knifed out here for a minute. That's why I thought we'd just take a break from that stuff. And I just, like I mentioned earlier, I watched that Alex Steele video the other night where he had that flag Damascus, and he made a couple of belt buckles, and I thought, gosh, that'd be cool, you know, I can make a belt buckle. And I thought I'd just use a piece of 5160 or something and maybe do some etching on it or something. And I came down here and I had these 2 billets that I showed you earlier sitting on the edge of my toolbox, and it just hit me, hey, let's use this. I didn't think I had enough to make a knife, and I wouldn't have. You see how much material we lost. Those were 2 fairly thick billets, probably 3/32 thick and 3.5 inches long or whatever, and now we're down to what we have in that buckle. So anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll do the finished work on this buckle and get it straightened up, cleaned up, and everything in the next one. So thanks for being here, guys. Get out to your shop and do something. Have some fun. Make a mess. Clean up the mess. You know, it doesn't have to be forging. I mean, do anything. Get out there and fix your kid's bike. Do something. There's nothing like shop time to kind of relieve your stresses and woes and what have you of daily life. So if you got a shop, get out there and use it and have some fun. And we'll see you on the next one.